G'day guys, welcome to this week's weekly developer update. I'm CW, coming to you solo once again. Joe's just having a bit of a break this week. There's a lot happening in the ecosystem. Anyone going fishing for some bass? We saw a meme coin go upwards of, I think it's up around 20,000% or something crazy like that at the moment. So I guess you could say it's meme season on Ergo. A lot of other things happening in the ecosystem. Auction House version 3 will be out in a number of hours. I dare say by the time this video is recorded, it will be live. Numerous other things. Once again, Sigmafy, the TVL on Sigmafy, loan requests are going through the roof. It's great to see. Number of other things. NFT projects are pumping. Yeah, it's an exciting time to be part of the Ergo ecosystem. The development, everything like that is just going gangbusters at the moment, which is great to see. So speaking of which, let's jump into this week's developer update. And kicking things off, we have Captain Nemo and Nautilus. So they've refracted all transaction signing and broadcasting modules to allow the code reuse and keep a homogeneous user experience across dApp implementations. They've added wallet optimization tool into the dApps tab, added an old fragmented box notification redirecting to wallet optimization dApp, merged PRs from Danza, which improved the change detection and wallet delta visualization, have also refracted and handled some edge cases on new change detection algorithm and added various small bug fixes. And then on to Fleet SDK. So they've released Alpha 29, added equal buy utility function to common library, and fixed the undefined UTXO sum result for nano ergs. And then finally on to ergo-graphq, released version 0.5.0, added unconfirmed box query by multiple box addresses and ergo trees, fixed concurrency caching issue, and fixed inconsistent confirmed query result when querying by single box ID. Okay, next up we have Grand Gambit. So now users can't make plays from within their wallets to Grand Gambit. They have to then first send funds to the speed pot. So after the centralization is still there, but at the same time, it improves usability in regards to the speed of transaction, etc. So people can play multiple games within a block. Not having to wait for the block times to pass, which is probably a good thing and somewhat a bad thing in some respect, people being able to lose but also win on the same front. It's also important to remember that Grand Gambit is centralized, so they do make that point there. Also listed Paideia token and started a contest to reward users to play with it. They're also gifting comment to players. So far 1.5 So 1,500 transactions have been done since the announcements were made. I think they're upwards of around 20,000 transactions completed, thereabouts. Don't quote me on that number. It's just something that just popped into my head. Okay, next we have the wallet app update from MrStahlfelge. So he's released version 2.4.2303. And that includes transaction data fetched from the node when the Node Explorer API is preferred, and outgoing transactions can be cancelled from the transactions details screen. Once again, it's available on the Google Play beta and GitHub, and the terminus following next week. Okay, next we have greenhat and his progress. So removed buyback token scan after it's removed from the pool config. Pass the Oracle pool instance to the REST API request handlers instead of loading it on every request. Added support for arrays of long in JavaScript value, passing of two constraints. Looked into a possible memory leak in Go in string related functions, using C bindings. A work in progress is fixing the iOS builds. So there's an issue with that is being resolved with the help of Dipless on Apple Silicon Macs. And also another work in progress. Add collected data point box source to determine active Oracle count in the pool status endpoint. And then next up, we'll continue monitoring implementation and test the new governance, so simplified voting in the gold pool, a gold erg pool on the testnet. Moving along, we have Luivatra and the Paideia beta update. So staking is tested, creating proposals tested, voting on proposals is tested. Found an issue using bytes without ref in the send funds contract because it includes the creation height, which might need to be different from than what it is defined at the creation of the proposal. So it's working on a solution, so splitting up the bytes without ref into two collections, one with a value of and ergo tree and one with the tokens and registers. So just need to find a way to find the end of the unit, so unit long integer in the bytes collection. Remaining to be tested is updated the config. So plenty of bugs in the off-chain code have been fixed during the last week. Also found a few issues beside the action send funds contract that I have to either fix or put in issues to be fixed. So I hope to fix the important issues in the contracts by tomorrow and deploy a new set of beta contracts. Once this is done, he will integrate the front end with the contracts. So all in all, it's going well. The biggest challenge was keeping all of the AVL trees in order, but that seems to be under control now. So good work, Louis. Okay, next we have Kushti. And on the protocol and client development front, he's testing bootstrapping with the UTXO set snapshot, fixing and polishing a few things on the way, and we'll propose it for review in 3 or 4 days, so possibly by the time this video is released. I reviewed and finalized node version 5.0.11, so still needs to check that scan API timeouts after wallet optimizations. Back to issue 1912, so we'll propose it for review in the coming days. 1670 has problems with backward compatibility. It has a new plan to support IDs out of the short range. Then moving on to Dexy and other matters. The ARB-MIT tested in the UI has been completed, so private testing of the UI will be started today or tomorrow. Going to redeploy contracts with the latest modifications in contracts, discussing SIG gold design and implementation, and also discussing the auction coin implementation. So if you want to see what's going on there, jump into the socials. There's also some discussion on the Ergo forum also. MG Pi has had the last exam. So good luck with that. Now, Glasgow, this is a pretty interesting chart actually. So just firstly, he's improving documentation for the configuration files for the Node API and GraphQL. Regional languages have been expanded on the Ergo platform site, so most of the pages are now fully translated. Please submit any PRs with any improvements. Publish some developer stats, which are looking good. That's the graph below. And updating Taigas with the latest ongoings. So himself, a few SIGs, contacting potential integrations to get a few more under our belt. So if you want to reach out to the Taiga, it's like a Kanban sort of organization board where tasks and things can be either raised, allocated, and acted upon. By all means, reach out to either Glasgow, myself, or anyone else. But yeah, more on this chart. So basically what we've seen is this chart is the monthly active developers and price comparison. So we've got the sub ecosystem. So basically the ecosystem people developing on Ergo is the brown, the blue is the Ergo core development, and the red line is the price. So as you can see, the price correlation in regards to developer activity, it's pretty crazy to see. We all know sort of that this is happening in the ecosystem. The development's sort of pretty crazy right now, or it has been now for a number of years, the last 18 months to a couple of years. So yeah, it's pretty interesting chart to actually think about. So yeah, watch this space. Next up, we have PGR 456 and the Sigmaspace, which is a alternate Explorer instance. So he's working on the chain grabber. So finished, completed independent implementation of the chain grabber in Golang. So using Sigma Rust bindings there. It's fully synced to the current height with a new schema. So saving about 20 gigs of database space, which is great to see. The ergo-libgo. So it's continued working on the Golang wrapper for the Sigma Rust C bindings, which allows the use of Sigma Rust in Golang. Fixed some memory leaks and added cross-platform tests. Still needs some work until all functions from Sigma Rust version 2.24.0 are supported. And thanks to greenhat for the fast support on the Sigma Rust and fixing the found parsing issues. Onto the front end of Sigmaspace, started working on a front end for sigmaspace.io using Svelte framework. And on the infrastructure side, I moved all surfaces to a cluster-based Nomad in a console and has updated the ergo-graphq to version 0.5.0. Glasgow pointing out here that we've got Markdown support. Good to see. Scrolling down, there's a bit of chatter about database syncing and a few other bits and pieces. Noah's provided a duckpool update that has been sort of provided on their Discord channel. So krasavice Blasen says, overview of the progress made this week by the development team. Partial repayments is complete and implemented and functional. The issue with liquidations was addressed and fixed. The issues with proxy contracts and interacted with the new interest contracts were detected and resolved, and many functions used by the front end were refracted. All smart contracts to full launch are now complete, implemented and functional. Next steps are to test these extensively, complete the security audit and treasury, and the voting contracts. So I'll provide additional details at the start of next week in regards to private testing. It's awesome to see. Another update here from the Exle side that Noah's copied over from their channel. So Jack Lim says the backend route to support Nautilus wallet's up, and I'll add that to the dev branch on the front end in the next couple of days. Going to start digging into the UI work that needs to be done for the latest backend API. And once that is good to go, they'll merge this all onto the main branch. Okay, next we have AcoSmrkas. So, g'day everyone. Erg Explorer dev here. So thanks to Noah for letting him know about the developer channel. So what he's up to, he's creating, once again, another Explorer instance, which is fantastic to see. The dependency here of the central Explorer that's provided by sort of the foundation, I guess you could say. Having these additional Explorer instances is fantastic for the utilization of the network. So there's a first update on the project here, so try to keep it short. First up, has set up a public public repo. You can see that with the link. Has added transaction view page along with the links to the transactions in the wallet address view. Updated responsive style for mobile devices. It's also updated search form to include address transaction dropdown. It's having a magic search guesses. If it's a transaction address block, it's cool, but it's faster and safer for now. Also updated the htaccess URL rewrites to match the official Ergo Explorer URLs one-to-one. It's also added the wallet address QR code in the address view. Great to see you, mate. Looking forward to following that going forward. Okay, next, MHS and Rosen Bridge. So it looks like another comprehensive update here. So on the Rosen Bridge watcher side, worked on adding the roll-up to the project. The task is almost done and waiting for code review. So that means that they can publish the executable binaries for all three platforms, being Mac, Windows, and Linux shortly. During the addition of the rollup, they need to write a plugin for resolving the Sigma Rust WASM files, because the official rollup WASM plugin doesn't support node-targeted WASM files, and the plugin's published and ready to be used publicly. So you can see the link there. Rosen chains, so the Cardano Koios network, finished testing and published. You can see that following the link. Rosen clients, there was an issue with a JSON parser causing an error when the constructor key in JSON, so resolved it by adding an option to the parser to ignore these. Updated in all the clients and all of the Rosen chain networks. On to Rosen chains on the Ergo side, so added some transaction verification conditions which were missed in the refractor. On the TypeScript guard service, so set up for a refracted version of the event processor, is done and completed. So it's in a testing phase now. So during the test, there was an error caused by a CRP14 package, which was used in the Rosen chains for Cardano. It's a little bit weird since there's no error in the unit tests and still working smoothly there. So just working on a solution on that front. And then miscellaneously, just started working on some R&D for adding EVM-based chains to the Rosen Bridge. It's fantastic to see. It's all moving along very nicely. Okay, next we have Ilya from Spectrum and the Spectrum network side of things. They fixed a message encoding, decoding in the Sigma aggregation, complete unit tests for the core handled protocol, cleaned up and refracted the white paper draft. Spectrum VRF implementation is which is a verifiable random number generator required for the consensus lottery, which is a work in progress. General Sigma aggregation integration testing, which is a work in progress also. Implemented core of the ledger and diffusion protocol implementation. So under Spectrum Finance on Ergo, fixed the last issues for version 1 release. On the Cardano side, added support for hot orders from the mempool and preparing mainnet bot distribution. Now onto the backend side on Ergo, fixed the history bug with infinite pending orders, improved errors, resilient and stability for the Ergo analytics. So mempool part, which is a work in progress. On the front end side, so on the Cardano front, new transaction builders, there's a new operation validators and a number of small UI fixes. And on Ergo, fixed the yield farming stakes display for Ergo Pay. Now on to a non-real. On his side, the auction house devs are working hard for the release of version 3. Like I mentioned, it should be out by the time this video comes out. So thanks to Marty and Luivatra, auction house staking is now live. So that is of staking of the token itself. SigmaUSD.io is updated with a few optimizations, which includes transactions should now fail less. And thinking about auction coin a bit these days. Also talked to Kushti about it a little bit. So it would be interesting to see an implementation of the auction coin sort of proposal. If anyone has any insights about it, let's discuss. Alexander V from Koinly, welcome mate. So just requesting share of some XPub keys for which derived ergo addresses would contain some transactions. So looking to do some testing there by the looks of things. Having Koinly integration will help a number of people out throughout the ecosystem. Being able to plug a wallet or an address into Koinly itself and have that manage your portfolio and tax obligations make things very, very easy. Noah's actually one of the ones who sort of got all this running. So got the community engagement. He's had a number of requests on the Koinly website themselves. So yeah, nice to see that. And now finally we have dEathgripson and the analog ergo update. So finished the responder claim from the ergo script contract, finished the initiator, check ergo tree to address for claim transactions, and the initiator can currently get register 4 from the claim transaction, working on deserializing it and then plugging it into the final equation of the atomic swap, which the initiator can claim their share, which is awesome to see. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in to this week's weekly developer update. It's always a pleasure running through these and seeing what's happening in the ecosystem. By all means, check out each individual project and anything else happening in the ecosystem, and good luck fishing, everyone. Have a good one.